I would like to discuss the three powers that every New Earth citizen, every denizen of Harmonic Universe number 2 possesses as their divine birthright. And I can think of no better entity, no better deity than Lord Shiva. And in particular, the weapon of Shiva, the trident, and what it represents, as in will, knowledge, and action. And Shiva's trident with the threefold powers that every person possesses. And in particular, what that means to me, and hopefully as I share what that means for myself, the symbolism of Shiva in general, you, the dear, esteemed, honorable, and noble fellow citizen of New Earth, will also find meaning. So if someone were to ask me, what does Shiva mean to me? And let me make this perfectly clear. Shiva is symbolic, highly symbolic, as all things are. Jesus is symbolic. The Christ is a title. These are all meant to be instructions and lessons and fingers pointing the way to ultimate sovereignty and self-empowerment. So let's keep that in mind. No one is here trying to advocate for the worship of some big blue guy or some person named Jesus, which actually means son of Zeus, that lived 2,000 years ago, but rather the words, the teachings thereof as they apply to each of us on our path to the new earth. And the symbolism of Shiva, what it means to me, for me, the symbolism of Shiva is the most powerful and mystical representation of God powers. And certainly in Hinduism, but for me in particular, in my path, which directly responsible for my initiation from Sadhguru, who is a avowed a follower of what Shiva represents in that particular Hinduist tradition. But every culture, every civilization, every person needs some form of symbolism to inspire them. And so this is what I'm presenting this as, a form of inspiration. Now, beyond religion, now allow me to share my humble insights on the symbolism of what Shiva stands for. And this is symbolism to inspire each and every person that is beyond the organized control paradigm of religion. Because now we are in the age of Aquarius, where we become our own priest, our own priestess, and we reclaim our self-empowerment, our self-sovereignty. So this is what this symbolism, I'm sharing this in that spirit, and how we can learn and apply this symbolism in our own lives as we tread the path to the golden earth, to the new earth, golden age timeline. Now, Shiva, the name itself stands for the auspicious one, and has numerous other names such as Shankar, Mahadev, Mahesh, Rudra, Nataraj, and Bolnath, as well as Chandrasekhar. Each name is a facet of his personality and the positive qualities which Shiva embodies. Likewise, being aware of our different facets and positive qualities is what drives credibility of character, depth of character, if you will. But further, this Shiva represents the first yogi. Shiva is known as Adiyogi, which means the first yogi. Shiva was the first to adopt yoga and meditation as a way of life. And as Adiyogi, as the first yogi, he showed the way to live in harmony with nature. He also adopted the life of an ascetic and deeply explored the science of consciousness. Now, what that means to me is he has seen through the illusions of harmonic universe number 1. He has gone beyond the first 3 thought clusters, the first 3 assemblage points of the root, the sexual, and the sacral, and the solar plexus, ego type of thought clusters, energies. So he has not so much turned his back, he's recognized that for the illusion that it is. Have your house in order, make sure your foundation is firm, but do not give it any more energy than that. Because if you're going to be a psychonaut and deeply explore the science of consciousness, well, you don't want to be lost in these pursuits. That's why Einstein had a whole closet full of the same suit. So he didn't, when he got up in the morning, all he had to do is put on his suit and didn't have to waste any more precious time deciding what he was going to wear for the day, and thus have more time in studying the light. Because Einstein, once he figured out the importance of light, he vowed to spend the rest of his life studying the powers of light. Thus, that leads us to the next quality of Shiva. He was the destroyer of darkness. Shiva is also known as the destroyer, or transformer, if you will, because darkness can never truly be destroyed. Darkness, dark matter, makes up 96% of the universe. It is only light, which is the barely perceivable 6%. Every form of matter that we see in the observable universe comes from the 6% of light. That is 6% of the total reality. The other 94% is dark matter, dark energy. So Shiva, in the sense, not so much as a destroyer of that, and as we understand it, but a transformer rather. But the deeper symbolism is that we can overcome our inner demons and embrace the shadow within through self-awareness, self-awakening, and self-control, as in controlling my energies and breathing and kind of taking it down a notch. You see, by working on ourselves, we can transform the darkness into light, born within and around us. And the core values of Shiva, they exemplify positive values of courage, detachment, equality, honesty, humility, innocence, justice, respect, and self-control. This represents the values every human being can aspire to live by. Balance of energies. The essence of Shiva is Shakti, which means power. The deeper meaning is that we all have an equal balance of masculine and feminine energies within us. When we honor both the masculine and the feminine within and around us, we become truly powerful and impactful. The third eye of Shiva has a third eye on his forehead. You may have seen this or not. While this represents the pineal gland, the deeper meaning is the awakening of consciousness. Opening the third eye allows us to access higher levels of wisdom and consciousness. Opening the third eye also means embarking on a spiritual journey of enlightenment. And the snake around the neck, perhaps you've seen this. The snake represents the ego. When we master our ego, it becomes like an ornament which we wear, a prized asset which defines who we are. When left untamed, like a snake, the ego can bite and harm us. Also, the snake is coiled 3 times around the neck of Shiva. This represents the 3 forms of time, past, present, and future, that we transition through. And that is why when the ego is put in its place, you devour all time, the linear concept of time, the past, present, and future, because that is all that time truly exists. Anytime that you ponder the past or the future or worried about the present, it is through your ego most of the time. Your ego has some sort of consternation for time. Everything can be devoured with the superego. When you touch your God mind, all of that is devoured in the fires of gnosis. The trident, also known as the Trishul, the trident is the weapon of Shiva. This spear has 3 prongs, which represent 3 powers as well as 3 states. The 3 powers are will, knowledge, and action. These powers, when aligned, help us achieve our goals. The 3 states are actually states of consciousness, waking, dreaming, and sleeping, which we experience as human beings. And the moon crescent, the moon on Shiva's locks of hair, represent a mind which is at peace. It depicts that when our mind is calm and clear, like the moon, we are able to achieve inner peace, self-discipline, and great achievements. In essence, it stands for being the master of one's own mind, and thus the master of your reality. Now, the 10th symbol of Shiva is the Ganges. The Ganga River it flows from Shiva's head. Ganga represents a river of purity, as well as the river which brings life. The deeper symbolism is that of flow of energy, flow of knowledge, flow of purity. It means we can access flow in our everyday life. Like a river flows with changes, with time and with energy. And the drum of Shiva, the drum attached to the trident, is called Damru. It represents the cosmic sound energy, the power of words and mantras which create impact around us through beats, rhythm, and vibes. Sound is energy in waves. The deeper meaning is how we can raise our inner vibrations, much like sound waves. And mantra. Shiva has a powerful mantra which people recite. Om Namah Shivaya. Om being the first vibration of the universe, and Om also being the first word in Om Banda, Nama means to bow. This mantra is a passage to know and understand ourselves, to dedicate time to our inner self and our deeper nature. The deeper meaning of this mantra is simply, I bow to my inner self. And another sort of nuance of Nama, of the Om Nama Shiva Nama, you can look at it like it's a sort of an attitudinal thing towards the harmonic universe number one of the third dimension. Nama, no, not that, not that. You don't identify with anything in this harmonic universe number one of the gross physical matter. You don't overly identify with it to the detriment of your exploration of higher states of consciousness. So Nama means you are not that. You are not identifying with that. But you bow, you identify with your inner self, your inner kingdom of heaven. And that is where your true identity resides. And then we look at the 13th symbol, ashes on the body. As an ascetic, Shiva's body is smeared with ashes. It symbolizes the ultimate truth that death is a reality which we will all experience. The ashes remind us to stay grounded and humble while accepting the cycle of life and death. And the tiger skin. Shiva wears only a tiger skin as clothes. It symbolizes courage as well as detachment from material things. The deeper meaning is about one's inner power, the tiger being a metaphor for inner strength, power, and resilience. And the beads of Shiva, also known as Rudrashka, which Shiva wears around his hands and neck like a rosary, made from dried seeds. These sacred beads, which stand for purity and concentration, it symbolizes how we can sanctify the mind through meditative practices. So there are the many different symbolisms of Shiva. And keep in mind, when mankind begins to understand all of the knowledge that we've been inheritors of as symbolism, then the veils of ignorance will drop. Okay? So if you're a Christian who's talking about, oh, they're worshiping some big blue guy and he got a tiger skin and a snake around his neck, that's Satan. You know, you're missing the point. Please hit that subscribe button, because in my view, Shiva symbolizes a mystic who has mastered himself, has nothing to prove, and is able to direct energy with intention. In essence, Shiva was the first yogi who conquered his mind, balanced his energies, and accessed authentic power. If you agree, if you would like to access authentic power and continue this journey to the new earth along with me, please hit the subscribe button and leave this video a thumbs up. Om Namah Shivaya.
Namaste, Namaskaram.